Have you noticed the shift? AI isn't just answering our questions anymore. It's starting to, well, to do things. It's taking action, completing tasks all on its own, kind of working in the background of our digital lives. We're witnessing a move from passive tools to really active partners. And today, we're diving into the secret brain that's making this all possible, agentic AI. I mean, just imagine giving a single broad command like this one. An agentic AI doesn't just throw a list of websites at you and call it a day. Nope, it actually understands the goal. It breaks it down, it executes every single one of these steps, the searching, the analyzing, the booking, and then it just comes back to you and the whole thing is done. This isn't just about finding information. This is about getting something done.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a solid definition of what this acting AI really is. Then, we're going to peek under the hood at the core parts that actually make an agent autonomous. We'll see where they're already out there in the real world, tackle the huge challenge of governance, and then wrap up by looking at how we can build a secure future for them.
Okay, let's really get into this first big shift. For years, we've thought of AI as something we just interact with, like a search engine or a chatbot. But agentic AI completely reframes that relationship. It's not so much a tool you have to wield, but more of a partner you can delegate to.
This definition right here is so important. Let's pull it apart for a second. Autonomous and goal-driven. That means they work on their own to get to a finish line. Operate independently over long periods. That means you don't have to hold their hand every step of the way. And minimal human supervision? Well, that's the dream, isn't it? You just point to the destination and the agent figures out how to get there.
So, what's actually under the hood? What's the real difference between a system that can book that whole Tokyo trip versus a simple chatbot that just gives you a link to an airline? Well, it really comes down to a few core capabilities.
This comparison really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got the generative AI we all know. You give it a prompt, it gives you a response, and that's it. The conversation stops until you give it the next instruction. But in agentic AI, you give it a broad objective and it just keeps going. It comes up with its own next steps, using its memory and tools to just keep pushing forward.
The first piece of the puzzle is planning. You can think of it like a really good project manager. You say, plan a trip, and the agent doesn't panic. It just breaks that huge, vague idea down into a checklist. Find flights, check hotels, compare prices, you get the idea. This is really the foundation of its autonomy.
Next up, you have memory. And we're not just talking about short-term context, like remembering what you said 2 seconds ago. This is about having a persistent memory. So the agent remembers the flight it found back in step 1 when it's looking for a hotel in step 2, making sure everything lines up perfectly. This ability to learn from its own past actions is what makes it so powerful. Now this next one, tool use, is absolutely critical. An agent isn't just trapped inside its own brain. It can actually use external tools, just like we do. It can fire off a web search, it can connect to a booking API, it can even run a bit of code to analyze data. This is how it actually reaches out and makes changes in the digital world.
And finally, we have reflection. This might be the most mind-bending part. The agent can actually look at its own work and critique it. Let's say the first flight search came back way too expensive. The agent can reflect on that, decide, hey, let me try a different travel site, and adjust its strategy, all without you lifting a finger. It literally learns from its own mistakes in real time.
Okay, so let's shift gears from theory to practice, because this stuff isn't science fiction anymore. These capabilities are being built and rolled out as we speak, thanks to a whole new wave of really powerful frameworks.
I mean, just look at some of these names. LangChain, AutoGPT, AutoGen. These are the open source toolkits that developers are grabbing right now to build these agentic systems. The sheer number of them and how quickly they're getting better tells you everything you need to know about how much energy is being poured into the space.
And this gives you just a little taste of the impact. We're already seeing agents being used in scientific research to not just analyze data, but to autonomously design experiments, run simulations, and even propose new ideas for things like drug discovery. It's like having a whole team of brilliant research assistants that work 24/7. The potential here is just massive.
But you knew this was coming. With all of this incredible power comes a whole set of really deep, really difficult questions. When you build systems that can act on their own, how do you make sure they act safely, ethically, and in a way that's actually good for us? This is the governance challenge.
And major institutions, like Stanford's Cyber Policy Center, are already working on this. They know that the technology is moving at lightning speed, so we have to start figuring out the rules of the road now, not after something has already gone wrong. And this, right here, is the central question.
If an autonomous agent makes a terrible financial trade or gives out dangerous medical advice, who's responsible? Is it the user who gave the initial command? Is it the developer who built the agent? The company that runs it? All of a sudden, those lines of responsibility get really, really blurry.
You can see that governments are taking this very seriously. A recent memo from the US White House actually required federal agencies to create their own AI governance boards. And look at who has to be at the table. It's not just the tech folks. It's legal experts, privacy advocates, civil rights specialists. It just goes to show that governing AI is a challenge for all of society. Which brings us to our final piece. If we're going to start relying on these agents for important tasks, we absolutely have to be able to trust them. And that trust can only be built on a foundation of really robust, forward-thinking security.
I mean, the stakes just couldn't be higher. We're not talking about a chatbot getting a fact wrong. We're talking about agents that could, one day, be managing our power grids, our financial systems, and our most private data. A security breach in a system like that isn't just an oopsie, it could be a catastrophe. So how do we build that kind of long-term trust? We have to plan for threats that aren't even here yet. You've probably heard about the rise of quantum computers, which could potentially shatter our current encryption. That's why experts are already building something called post-quantum cryptography, basically new ways to protect data that are quantum-proof. Securing these agents for today's threats isn't enough. They have to be secure against the threats of tomorrow.
And all of this leaves us with one final huge question. As AI makes this leap from being a simple tool to an active agent that we collaborate with, what does our role become? Are we the manager, the mentor, a teammate? Figuring out our relationship with these powerful new systems, well, that's the great work that lies ahead for all of us.